If you've ever signed a new client and felt that excitement, and then 2 days later they're emailing you asking where to send their files, or what's the kickoff call link, or whether you even got their contract, well, that's not a client problem. That's an onboarding problem, and it's costing you more than time. It's costing you their confidence in you before the work has even started. I've been an OBM for 8 years. In this video, I'm going to show you how I built a client onboarding system for online service businesses. We're going to map the workflow, check the tools, set up the automation, and build the SOP that makes the whole thing repeatable. So let's get into it. Quick question. When a client signs with you right now, what actually happens next? Like, what literally happens in the next hour? If you had to think about that for a second, that's the problem. Because for most service providers, the answer is nothing happens automatically. Maybe an email goes out later that day, maybe the next morning, or maybe you create the folder, maybe you forget. Every time is different. So let me show you what a proper onboarding system looks like when it's actually built.
This is what I do with every client who comes to me without a system. We map out what actually happens in their business when a new client says yes. And I mean every step, not the idea of the steps, the actual steps. It starts here: contract signed or payment received. This is your trigger, the thing that kicks everything else off. Your trigger might be slightly different, or maybe it's a form submitted. But you need to know what it is because your automation cannot start until something fires. Then welcome email goes out automatically, and we're going to talk about what goes in it a few minutes because most welcome emails are getting this wrong. The questionnaire link goes inside the welcome email. You're not sending two separate emails, one good email with everything they need inside it. Client folder created automatically, named with their name, shared with them, and done. Project created in ClickUp from a template, not built from scratch every time. A template with tasks already there, due dates already set. Look at this, every arrow is a handoff, a place where information has to move from one step to the next. Right now, for most service providers, a person is doing that manually, every single time. And here's the thing, you can't fix this until you can see it. That's why we always map it first.
Okay, workflow is mapped, now you want to automate it. Here's where most people make a very expensive mistake. They pick their tools based on what looks good, or what someone recommended, or what they saw in another person's tech stack. And then they spend weeks setting everything up, and when they try to connect it all, nothing talks to each other. Unfortunately, I've seen this so many times. A great contract tool, a solid ClickUp workspace, an email platform they love, and zero connection between them. So before you commit to any tool in your stack, before you buy it, before you set it up, just one question. Does it connect to Make or Zapier? That's it. That's the question. If it has a native integration, great. If it has a webhook, it's workable. But if it has neither, you will have to do all of the process manually no matter how good the rest of your setup is. I always check this for clients before we talk about building anything because it doesn't matter how good the automation is if the tools don't connect. So the order is map the workflow first, check the tools, and then build it, not the other way around.
Let's talk about the welcome email because this is where most onboardings fall flat. I've seen welcome emails that are two sentences. Thanks for signing, we'll be in touch. That's it. The client is left wondering if you even remember who they are. And I've seen welcome emails that are way too long, so full of information and attachments and instructions that the client reads the first paragraph, gets overwhelmed, and doesn't do any of it. A good welcome email does one thing: it makes the client feel taken care of and tells them exactly what to do next. Here's what it needs to include: a genuine welcome, what happens next in plain language, the questionnaire link, the kickoff call booking link, how to reach you, and a timeline. What does the first week look like? Now, before I show you how Claude writes this, there's one thing I want to say first. Don't just open Claude and say, write me a welcome email. Claude doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know your tone, your brand, how you communicate with clients. So before you ask Claude to write anything on your behalf, give it context. Your website, a previous email you've sent, a few sentences about how you like to communicate. The more it knows about you, the more it sounds like you. Let me show you. See how different that is when Claude actually knows your voice first. That's not a generic template. That's starting to sound like you. And this email goes out automatically. The moment the trigger fires, this is in your client's inbox. You didn't write it that day. You didn't remember to send it. It just happened.
Once the workflow is mapped and the tools are confirmed, this is where it comes together. I'm going to show you the logic. Not every click because your stack will look different from mine. What I want you to see is the thinking. And I also want to be honest, what I'm showing you here is a working demo, not a fully production ready build. Because in a real client world, I would add error handling because what if the folder doesn't exist? But that's a whole other video. Today is about the logic. Every automation starts with a trigger. Contract signed, that fires everything else. But before anything happens, there's one question the system needs to answer. Is this a new client or a returning client? So the first thing Make does, it searches ActiveCampaign or any CRM tool that you use. Is this person already in there? If yes, that means returning client. If no, new client. That one check sends the scenario down the right path. New client, first path. Welcome email goes out. A brand new Google Drive folder gets created with their name. A new ClickUp list is created. Task gets built inside that list, like admin and setup, communication, project kickoff with all of the subtasks underneath. Returning client, second path, they get a slightly different welcome email, more familiar, warmer, because they already know you. Make searches for their existing Google Drive folder, finds it, and uploads the new contract directly into it. Then a new ClickUp project gets created for this engagement. And this is what you see in ClickUp when it's done. The list is there, the tasks are there, and you can expand this automation further. Have the drive folder link, the questionnaire link, the contract link, all automatically populated into your custom field. I kept this build simple for the video, but that's absolutely where you take it next. Whether it's new client or returning client, the system handles it. You didn't do any of it manually. Now the SOP. I want to be very clear about this because I see it done wrong all the time. You do not write the SOP first. I know that sounds counterintuitive. You're building a system, you want to document it. But if you write the SOP before you've actually run the system, you're documenting a theory, not a process. What you do instead, build the system, then run it with a real client. Then pay attention to what breaks, what step did you forget, what information wasn't there when the next step needed, what did you have to do manually because the automation didn't cover it. Fix those things first, then run it again. When it's working, when you've run it enough times that you trust it, that's when you document it. Because now you're documenting what's actually happens, not what you think will happen. And once it's written, it's not finished. Every time your process changes, every time you switch a tool, every time you add a step, the SOP gets updated. It's a living document, not a file you make once and forget about. Now, you can use Claude to help you write this. Once your system is tested and confirmed, you describe it to Claude and it structures the whole thing for you. It looks something like this. See, it's clean, structured, every tool name, every step in order. Any VA you bring in or anyone you hire can follow this without asking you a single question. That's what a real system looks like. The tools are not the hard part. Whether it's Make, ClickUp, Claude, those are just tools. The hard part is knowing what your workflow actually is, making sure your tools connect, and building something that runs without you. That's what this series is about. Real systems for real online businesses. If this was helpful, feel free to subscribe and drop a comment. Tell me where you are right now. Do you have an onboarding system or is it still living in your head? I'll see you in the next one.